fading. We gotta go. I'll get my car. I brought mine. Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dance Discussions. So, the Ayer Cut. Time to bring that... Oh, hold on. Forgot I had it playing on YouTube. I was wondering why I was hearing an echo. Anyways, back to my train of thought. So, the Ayer Cut. One of the stars of that movie, Margot Robbie, just had a very hit movie coming out, Barbie. With that and the actor strike, there's so many good reasons why right now is the perfect time for Warner Brothers Discovery to sell the Ayer Cut to Netflix. And today, I wanted to bring on a very special guest. I have had 3 members of the Cool Table so far, but there are 4, and I'm really excited to have this person on. Loves metal, and by pure coincidence, and I mean pure coincidence, episode 13 of Bat Dance Discussions is when I brought him on, so love how that works out. So please join me in welcoming L Necron, Lord Necron.
What's up, Bat Dan? Lucky 13 in the
doing?
house.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. Actually, man, your intro is really cool, dude. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, Austin designed it, or made the whole thing.
Yeah. Austin obviously is the champ when it comes to these videos, dude. But yeah, he did a good job on yours with the flow of the editing of the scenes and everything. Kind of made it all flow together. Shouts out to you and Austin. Good job, man. What's up, Jose?
I can't even hear the music right now. I got a new computer and like it was playing music when I last had it on, but now today again it's not playing music. So that whole intro just sounds so awkward to me right now because without the music it's just so
okay. I heard it on my end, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I know. It's my computer that's the issue.
Okay, nice. Well, you got some good guests in the audience here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about this shirt? This shirt right here, this LZSJL Noel Flores shirt. Yeah. Should have copped one when you had a chance. We were telling you. Get over to inktothepeople.com/sellzsjl and get you some shirts, man. We got some good ones up there. You got Cyborg, and we have this version in black and white, the Justice is Gray version. That's what we're calling it, since it's black and white.
Very fitting, and I'll make sure on the replay to put the link to the description or to the shirts in the description.
Awesome. What's up, Mikey?
So you got Mikey, we got Mr. J.
Mr. J, what's going on, bro?
Lucas Ironside, and Jose Diaz.
Could probably have some more funneling through as we go along, I'm sure.
Yep. And there's socks. So before we get into our main topic today, I wanted to know what your thoughts on this was. Zack Snyder himself has posted on Twitter that he is seeing Blue Beetle with his kids.
Yeah, okay. I think it's an appropriate movie to take your kids to go see. So I mean, so Zack taking his kids to see Blue Beetle really isn't like some type of shock to me. Yes, I get the implications of supporting a Warner Brothers product too. There are I think little more deeper meanings to that too. But I also think it's a perfect movie to take your kids to see. So yeah, and he's probably doing a solid for what are her name, DeLuca and Pam Abby.
Yes.
That's what I think. Keeping that good relationship going with them and WB, so more things can happen down the road. And I'm not like one of these guys like, oh, boycott Blue Beetle and this and that. I really don't care what people do. They can go see it. They can't. It's up to them, really. But I wouldn't tell people either way to see it or not see it. Now, if I saw it and liked it, I would tell you to go see it. But if you don't hear anything from me, that probably means I haven't seen it or I didn't like it. But Zack Snyder saying it, I get it. There's implications there too. That there's some type of working relationship with him and WB. What that exactly is, I don't know. But it's something there. And also, he's probably like, "Hey, kid, you want to see Blue Beetle?" And I don't know how old all his kids are, but I'm sure they're at the age of something like Blue Beetle looks cool to them, and why not? Why not take your kids to go see it?
Exactly. And I think, and I think that's part of it too, is that I think it's very personal for Zack Snyder because I think his kids are all different races, aren't they? Or he has a wide variety
I believe so. I think he has that yeah.
So I'm thinking that's kind of part of it too. So like a movie like Blue Beetle is a lot more significant to him personally. And I do think there is some working relationship with Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy because when Cell happens, those two from Warner Brothers are going to be our allies in that.
Yes, for sure. Well, Zack, we all know that was the plan to finish Zack's thing with them. Sorry, I was reading something real quick.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Yeah,
just wanted to get that live reaction from you. Wanted to. Hopefully, some good news.
Oh, it's interesting news.
Okay.
Yeah. But keeping that good relationship with DeLuca and Abby is going to be really key because they're Zack allies for sure. They were the ones Zack thanked at Full Circle. So yeah, keep it going, man.
Exactly.
Yes, he did.
Oh yeah, in fact, I put the article, that Geekosity article, in the description where Zack Snyder, his endorsement of Blue Beetle got a lot more recognition than James Gunn's did.
For sure, dude. Boy, Zack Snyder. No matter how much Gunn wants to think he's some cultural phenomenon, he's not Zack Snyder. He doesn't get the traction Zack Snyder gets, nor the praise. The Guardians of the Galaxies are his big hits, and to me, they're like fun little silly movies. I haven't seen the third one, so I can't comment on that one. But the first two I've seen.
Neither have I.
I'll watch it when it's on TV. That's when I'll probably watch it. So that dude just left. I just don't want to really go watch anything he's doing with all those shenanigans he's been up to. So yeah, let me send you something real quick for your eyes only.
Okay, don't worry, Mikey.
So yeah, man, we got to keep the yeah, and Mikey doing the bombs. Yeah, you got to keep the open relationship with DeLuca and Abby, man. They keep things going for. I think and it helps what we're trying to do with the Sales ESJL movement too.
Yeah, 100%. Because people need to remember that Blue Beetle is mostly Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi's movie. Sure, Gunn maybe put some stuff in there like he did The Flash, but at the end of the day, the movie's going to fall more on Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi than it is going to on James Gunn, at least to a lot of the executives.
Yeah, well, to me, it's just another example of Gunn trying to poach things, just like he's poaching Brainiac now for his Superman movie. I just see he's trying to kind of poach this for his new universe. Maybe it is a good, pretty damn good movie, and he's like, "Oh, this would help me, look good coming out with this." It makes no sense, doesn't it? You got Blue Beetle coming out before Aquaman. Shouldn't have been the other way around.
Yes, that's what I've been thinking too, especially because they go back and forth whether or not it's part of his universe, it's part of Gunn's universe, it's somewhat part of Gunn's universe, I don't know, but regardless, I agree. It should have been Aquaman and Blue Beetle should have been switched, because then that way it makes more sense. Like, okay, this is our first movie in the DCU, which, in my opinion, I think Gunn should just commit and make it the first movie of the DCU. That way, that's one less insignificant DC movie that has to be released.
Yeah. And I don't get all this too. This like, well, I'm keeping certain people, but letting other people go. And this, I mean, what type? This sounds like a train wreck waiting to happen to me. You're going to have a confused audience. Wait, I thought this was a new DC, and then you're going to have Margot Robbie back as what's her name, and
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. I see. I brain farted on her name. And it's just going to be confusing the audience. Wait, is this new? Is this old? What's going on here? Either you got the cojones, the fucking. Sorry, just getting that.
Oh, you can swear.
Okay, thank you. You got the cojones, the freaking do it, or you don't. This is a pussyfooting approach. Well, I kind of do this, but I want to keep this because this is popular. But I don't like these guys, so they can go. I just hate it. I hate it all. I can't get behind it, and now, it just seems like he's poaching things and what he wants and he's just a poacher, man.
I agree. And if you really want to keep your actors, you can just give them other roles. It's not, you don't have to give John Cena a different role other than Peacemaker. Give Margot Robbie another role besides Harley Quinn. There's plenty of other DC characters out there for these. So, yeah.
I always thought John Cena would have been a great Captain Marvel myself. He just kind of looks like the comic book version of him.
Yeah, and we know that Zachary Levi won't be him anymore. So,
hey, what's up, Kingdom of Nerds? What's going on, dude? He's a cool dude.
Thanks for stopping by. And
yeah, Zachary Levi. That was he was another train wreck too. He just should have kept his mouth shut. I think his movie would have done better.
Oh yeah, he says that Zack Snyder stuff didn't materialize. Well, guess what? Your film didn't materialize either.
Mm-mm.
Even though Zack's stuff did materialize, but yours definitely did not.
But too, or yeah, as Mikey says, or Guy Gardner.
Yeah, looks probably much closer to Corn Sweat's age than. Actually, I don't know. John Cena and Nathan Fillion might be the same age. I don't.
Yeah, I think he's older, man. But
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Zack seeing Blue Beetle. I mean, that's fine. I don't understand the rage over it on either side. Actually, I'm like,
yeah,
the man's welcome to see what he wants to see and promote what he wants to promote.
The only thing I'm going to say is the only significance this should entail people is to not boycott in Zack Snyder's name. Specifically, again, in Zack Snyder's name. Don't say you're doing it for Zack Snyder if he himself is seeing the movie. If you just don't want to see it for your own reasons, that's fine. But just don't say you're doing it for Zack Snyder, because you're not.
Well, it's almost idiotic. Say, I'm boycotting this in Zack Snyder's name, and here you got Zack Snyder going down to the premiere to see the movie. Is like, are you a better judge than Zack Snyder? See it. Don't see it for your reasons. Don't, try to make a martyr of Zack Snyder out of it because you don't want to see it or whatever. Honestly, dude, I kind of freak out on everybody getting so militant over comic book movies and all that. I support, Zack Snyder, and I want to see ZSJL continue, and the whole Snyderverse, and all this opposition to it. It's just weird. I mean, I just can't imagine being at home contemplating how to stop the Snyderverse. Like, who does that? Who sits around and thinks about things like that? Now, I can see like James Gunn would, because it's obviously it's going to embarrass the hell out of him if his movies come out and Zack comes out and destroys his movies. Probably what's going to happen. But like just like regular people at home contemplating to stop the Snyderverse, other than having paid agendas or access agendas, I can't even imagine that's what you do at your time.
Personally, in my opinion, if James Gunn showed more support for Cell, like embraced DC being a multiverse, I think in some ways it could actually help him. And here, because the reality is, people are going to compare his stuff to Snyder's no matter what. Even if we don't get anything else, Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League exist. People are going to compare Cavill to Corn Sweat. But if you finish Cavill's arc, people will be a lot more receptive to a new Superman.
Oh yeah, I mean that would have been the logical approach to do, man. Just finish it up. No one likes a story that's not finished. How hard could it have been to finish this whole thing up? Worst case scenario of finishing it up, we got one more Justice League movie, right?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if at least it would have been finished. For him, that's his worst case scenario. If this thing goes to if it goes to Netflix, the Snyderverse, I think we're going to get more than just one thing. I don't think Netflix is going to invest just to have one movie.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, here's what I think will happen with Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. I think when we get it on Netflix, I think they're going to give it a New Hope ending. The kind of ending where if it ends there, it's a complete story, but there's still more room to continue. So Zack Snyder can still do ZSJL 3, and then maybe we can get the Batfleck movie, Man of Steel 2. The Ayer Cut, I think we would get when we get that. I think that's the one thing we'll get before Zack Snyder's Justice League 2.
I would love to see the Ayer Cut go to Netflix.
Yeah.
Along with the other, not saying just the sequels that need to be made, but all the other Zack Snyder movies. That way, Netflix just becomes the home for Zack Snyder and all his projects. We already got, was it Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead over there, and we got all his zombie movies over there, Army of Darkness. Might as well get the Snyderverse over there too. And if you get the Ayer Cut, that's Snyderverse.
Yeah, 100%.
You got the mother boxes in it. Everything was leading right up to Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm excited to see that if it goes to Netflix. I would love it.
Okay, well, actually, we'll transition to why, because the main topic of this video is exactly why Netflix should buy the Ayer Cut. But there's one more thing I want your opinion on.
Sure.
I don't know if you heard anything. And we're going to cover both articles about this. There was an article about the initial thing that happened, and then there's a clarification article, and we'll kind of cover both of these. So I don't know if you heard about this.
No, I haven't. I didn't know he was against it.
He said something like he says he doesn't support the strike because it's reductive. That's what the initial article said.
Okay.
And then so many people got so mad at him that the guy who played Ricardo Diaz on Arrow and then Reverse Flash on the Flash series, not Tom Cavanaugh, but I don't know how much of the Flash series you've seen.
I saw maybe it's a season 5.
Okay, so you know how there's the guy who plays somebody he actually looks like, Matt Letchester.
Yeah.
And then hold on, I put the articles in the description exactly what's. And basically, he said that his comments were misinterpreted, and let me just read the article, is that he understands why we're here, but he doesn't. He basically was trying to make it seem like, oh, well, I don't like striking. Nobody does. But it was just, it's like a hard scenario.
Tell that to the UPS workers who got everything they needed when they were threatening to go on strike. That's weird to say I don't like striking. Whatever.
I think the reality is we don't know what's true. We don't know whether or not Stephen Amell actually what got misinterpreted by the media, because we know the media lies. We know the media loves
That's
a
true.
clickbait
You got a
headline.
point. They can twist your quotes or not give the whole quote and leave out certain things that really are key. Yeah.
But at the same time too, he could also like have realized, oh shit, all these people are mad at me now. I better say something to try to redeem myself. Both things are
Got to save the
possible.
brand in the public eye. Yeah.
And I mean, really, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is to be more careful what you say and to try not to jump on a clickbait headline, because it's important for celebrities to kind of be careful about the stuff they say. Like like Stephen Amell's co-stars, they got to be careful about jumping on stuff, because a celebrity's voice is a lot more. They're going to listen to a lot more than you or me, for example.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They're actual celebrities. They, especially, he played Arrow. He's going to carry some weight with people. But what's up, Super Bro? Haven't seen you in a while.
Super Bowl.
He's going to carry weight with people, but too, I mean, if you're in the union and you signed the papers to be in the union, you got to back the union.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's part of the deal. You're in it, so you got to have a united front with everyone else. You can't have any cracks. Just like the cell movement, either you're in it or you're not. You can't be half-hearted in, and you can't be in it for clout. You've got to be in it because you really want to see the Snyderverse moved on. Not for how many tweets you get liked and this and that. It's about getting the Snyderverse sold to a home that will treat Zack good and let him make the movies he wants to make.
Exactly. Somewhere where Zack is welcome, he won't get interfered with, and can just get great content. Because at the end of the day, I just want to see a conclusion to the story I love. Yes, I want some of these other spin-offs like the Batfleck movie,
Oh yeah,
Man of Tomorrow. Ayer Cut I'm not even entertaining not getting, because that one's already filmed. So that one, I don't even want to entertain us not seeing that one. But this other stuff, yeah, just see the conclusion to the story, get some spin-offs, and then we can be happy and call it a day. But show dedication to the movement. Don't be like, oh, well, I want to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, but also I also run with Gunn, or let's restore the Snyderverse over at Warner Brothers Discovery.
No. Yeah, for sure, because the rules of engagement have been made clear by Sky and Leon how to support this. It's not very hard to not understand. And I mean, they never even made like hardcore videos about like, don't miss the hashtags. What are you doing? They're like, look, don't mix the hashtags, because it kind of makes it ineffective. That's what they're really selling you. If you keep mixing all these hashtags, they just get Twitter or whatever the hell they're calling it now. X only recognizes 2 hashtags. So when you're one of these guys who have like
20, X.
Yeah, or 25 plus hashtags on your thing, well, guess what? 2 of those somewhere in there are going to get taken. Some are just made up hashtags. So yeah, there has to be in a movement some type of ground rules so everything runs smoothly and effectively.
Exactly. So, and I think
go ahead.
No matter what, in my opinion, Stephen Amell needs to be more careful what he said. Whether he meant it or not, it's just, and look, we're human, we make mistakes. It happens, but it's just a story to be more careful of what you say. And I hope the truth about this gets out, because if Stephen Amell really did not mean what he said, I would hate for his career to get ruined over this.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough because it's the people, this strike isn't really about from people like Stephen Amell. It's about the what you would call it middle class Hollywood. The people who aren't making the big money. It's about them. I'm trying to get them decent wages so they can, live and keep creating. See, people like Stephen Amell and above, they're fine. They got their big checks. They're good. It's about, the middle class and even lower of Hollywood, trying to give them some decent wages to survive. When I read some of the stories about how some of these people have to struggle, it's pretty rough. The Stranger Things writer is still an Uber driver or something. Like, I don't know if that's propaganda or not, but that's shocking to read. Like, what are they? What? Yes, they're gonna. Yes, we need to pay these people more because there's a lot of money being made off of this stuff when it becomes hits. I always thought you know, get paid by the success. You get a percentages of the success, right? If this thing becomes a big hit, you get a percentage of that going forward. If it's not, well, you get the percentage of what you get. But whatever, we're not gonna get all that because I'm not a negotiator. Oh, DC Talk, what's up, brother?
Yeah, let
But
them negotiate.
he just needs to let his agent do his talking. His publicist probably, you know, they'll say the right thing for him going forward.
Yeah, and I'm sure actually I saw his original post on Facebook too, and it was basically, I'm sure his PR team looked at that before he said anything.
Well, they did not look at it good enough then, because it seems like it got them in hot water a little.
I mean, not the retraction one, not the original.
Oh, not the original. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they were on the retraction one. Hell yeah, that's what they get paid for.
Yeah, I heard that rumor too, and I hope that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making money if they're not filming, and the studio heads aren't making money either. You know, it all starts to snowball.
Plus, they lost court of public opinion. I mean, even if somehow they can get AI to completely replace the actors and the writers, there's a lot of people who won't want to support our principle. And thanks for confirming, Mikey.
There you go. Yeah, that AI stuff is kind of bad, you know, for writers and things. Is, you know, have a computer go ahead and write shows and everything, and maybe, you know, some of it, to me, even if it like is quote better end quote, it's soulless, right?
Yeah, 100%.
How does that even touch us as human beings when it's written by a computer? This soulless, because all it is just computing things. There's no soul behind it. Could be really good, but it's still soulless. Now, I think when we take that out of the human experience, you know, especially in our entertainment, that's what like makes entertainment connect with us. It's like it has a soul, it has a heart. So, boo on AI. It's like
great analogy. And we got Neil Sevens in the chat.
What's up, Marcus? Last Voyage of the Demeter. Can't wait to see that. Marcus knows what's up. Both losing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, I mean, there was actually a lot of studios do have great success for now, but how long is this going to last? Because this next topic actually does kind of relate to why now's a good time to get to the Ayer Cut, is the Barbie box office. Because again, you know who's the star of that movie?
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, and she is the star of the Ayer Cut, and actually, right now it has a record for the second weekend. Barbie opened with $93 million in the U.S. box office, according to the Hollywood Reporter.
What is it at now? Chat, let us know what Barbie's at now, what its gross is so far. Because I heard a number, and I don't want to quote it because I may be wrong, but I was like, holy crap. Oh yeah, we're getting some story time on Night Shift tonight. I don't know if you were watching, Dan, but
I have to watch last night's on replay before, but I'll watch that before the
apparently one. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it on your show, but it's going to be pretty outrageous according to Mikey.
Oh, I can't wait. But anyway,
over 700 million. That's what Mikey just said. So look at that, man. This movie is gonna crack $1 billion. That's a given. That is gonna happen. So this whole thing, box office is dead, is a joke. You make the right movie that connects to the audience and the mainstream, you can have $1 billion movie.
Did you see Barbie?
No.
I actually did see it, and if I can figure out my computer issues, I should be like I have my review recorded for it, but I have to edit it, so I need the computer.
Well, did you enjoy it?
There's enjoyment I got out of that movie. You know how a lot of movies are not so great in the first two acts, but the third act kind of sinks it.
Yeah.
This was kind of the opposite for me. I thought the first two acts kind of sucked, and I think the third act really raised it for me.
Got it over the
There's
finish line.
Yeah, there were certain directions I did not like where the movie was going, and I'll kind of be vague about it. In my Barbie review, I'm less vague because let's just say there were certain topics I had to cover in the review that I normally try to avoid, but the way the Barbie movie was written,
Gotcha.
there's no way to not talk about it. So,
Yeah.
but they kind of fixed it a little bit in the end, but I'll say this, the Snyder Cut joke was so out of place.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was kind of weird that they would go there, but yeah, I guess who was in charge at the time.
Toby Emmerich.
But I mean, whatever. Still talking about the Snyder Cut, regardless in a Barbie movie. How any publicity is good publicity, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, something like Barbie. Again, that's something I'll probably watch it when it comes out on TV. I mean, shockingly, it's just something I'm not interested in, like going to see at the theaters. Whatever. Barbie's not.
I was kind of peer pressure too.
Were you?
Yeah, I was like, a friend of mine was telling me to see it. My mom was suggesting I see it. I'm just like, fine. And there were some adults in there without kids, so it wasn't totally bad. But the reason why I'm kind of bringing up Barbie in this is because right now Margot Robbie's the T's silent in her name, right?
I think so.
Okay. Margot Robbie is a hit right now, a big hit right now, and I think right now is the perfect time to cash in on her success.
Yeah, I mean, especially with material, there's nothing really being shot or made at the moment. A whole new version of the Suicide Squad would be a great idea to get out there to the masses, don't you think? Especially with more scenes with Margot in the movie.
Exactly. They could really promote Margot in this. I mean, they could really promote her in this movie. I think during the strike, the studios can still promote the actors. The actors themselves just can't promote the.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. Yeah.
Again, I don't know how it's going to
promote.
And I don't know how this works exactly with the director's cut, but I'll let the studios figure that out. That's not my job to.
Now, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, correct me wrong if I'm Chad, if you know about this, I don't think she was a big fan of the Ayer version of the way she was portrayed and her and the Joker's relationship.
I've heard rumors about that too, and actually we're going to kind of get into that's actually kind of a topic coming up soon in terms of Margot Robbie's support, but I heard that too, and I think part of it is also, I think it was Siller Mikey who said that because of Margot Robbie's production company, she can't openly support the Ayer cuts.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't know about that. I mean, I know she had some issues with Jared Leto, but in my opinion, that's already filmed. I mean, I understand. I could respect that she doesn't want to do a new movie with Jared Leto, but she doesn't need to see her Jared Leto in this.
Yeah, I was just wondering if she wanted to hold it back, or because she's gonna have some power now.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely get into why she definitely should not hold it back. But at the end of the day, in terms of the Barbie topic, is that Margot Robbie is a hit right now, and this is the perfect time to cash in on it.
Yeah, I mean, any company that would release this right now would have a big release on their hand.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, look, here's Margot, and a whole new version of Suicide Squad that you haven't seen, the Ayer Cut. Even like the mainstream would be probably more prone to take a look at it now than before Barbie.
Exactly, and hopefully, in my opinion, I think the version of this character will be better in the Ayer Cut because personally, from what I've heard about it, if anything, it's more empowering for Margot because she doesn't go back to her abusive relationship versus the Ayer Cut where she does go back to Joker.
And he just kind of disappears. Right?
Yeah.
That's that. Where, yeah, in the Ayer Cut version, there's an actual, like, breakup, right, or something between them. Yeah, exactly, man. It's a dumb move. I mean, you got this, and it has a built-in audience already waiting to see it. Jerson Haunted Mansion? Wow.
Oh, I'll have to see that then. Definitely like to, because he's been a supporter of Zack Snyder. He even said back when Restore the Snyderverse was the hashtag to use. I remember he said Restore the Snyderverse in one of his Instagram stories, and he came back for the Snyder Cut. He did. He's the only he's the only actor who's exclusively in the additional photography. So he was willing to do an HBO Max movie, basically.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that we were going to get a solo Jared Leto Joker movie at one time being talked about.
Well, who knows? With Netflix, because again, obviously we want to keep our expectations realistic, but at the same time, ask for it all.
Hey, like Zack says, fire all your bullets. Don't hold any back. If you're going to do it, go big. Don't worry about the sequel. That'll happen but fire all your bullets on the one you got right now. So yeah, that's why we ask for everything. That's why Leon created a second hashtag, sell Snyderverse to Netflix, to cover everything else that it encompasses the Snyderverse, not just ZSJL, Ayer Cut, the Batflick movie. Who knows? The Jared Leto Batflick movie to follow. Who knows what we could do with this? No pun intended, but the sky's the limit. We can get so much more out of this. Never settle for less. Try to get as much as you can, right?
Yeah, and if we get less afterwards, so be it. But
we still win. We still win. We're still going to get a ZSJL sequel.
So I guess, do you have anything else to say on the Barbie and the box office?
I can't say much, bro. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to really talk about a movie I haven't seen, But
in terms of like the popularity of Margot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool to see that, Barbie, which has been a toy for, decades upon decades, to finally have its own movie and become a big hit. Now, I heard, some men groups are all upset and all that. And I'm like, man, they must have some thick skin, It's a movie. Movies are made to let people feel good about themselves. That the girls and the women, transgenders, whoever want to feel good about themselves, let them feel good about themselves. It's a movie, for God's sake.
And since you brought that up, I will say that was definitely kind of an issue I had at first, but the third act is kind of what kind of fixes the issue about like how men are portrayed, about stereotyping men. The third act kind of fixes that. It fixes that a little bit. So
there you go. And too, not all, people act the same. People do have to realize that. Just because one dude's a jerk doesn't mean all dudes are a jerk. Just because one girl's not lady doesn't mean all girls are not ladies. You know what I mean? Come on. Grow up, man.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I think with Margot Robbie being a big star right now with Barbie, I think, again, this is the perfect time to capitalize it. And
if you're smart, you would capitalize on it. That's really the key. You got to hit while the iron's hot. You got to strike while the iron's hot.
And to kind of go back to what you were saying earlier, and this will transition us perfectly to our next topic. There's this question that I know Syl and Mikey brought it up. You brought it up. Maybe Sky's brought it up. I don't remember. But does Margot Robbie want it? And here's my reason why she, at the very least, should not try to block it. David Ayer's support.
Yeah.
Because if he tweeted at his support for Margot Robbie in Barbie. He tweeted, forgot where it was, but he tweeted support for Margot Robbie for the Barbie movie.
Well, there you go. I mean, she she doesn't have to, but it would be a good, sign of, he supported her. She could support him. And who's it really going to hurt? How's it going to hurt anyone if this movie gets released, the Ayer Cut version of it? No one. Not going to hurt anyone. It's just going to have another cool version of Suicide Squad to watch. I'm not one of these people. I actually enjoyed Studio Squad. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it's on Zack Snyder level. I just thought it was an okay pretty cool superhero or supervillain movie, I guess we should say. I enjoyed it, but I would love to see David Ayer's original version of it because from what I read, it's grittier, of course. So that's going to, be like cool, and it's more related, actually, attached to the Zack Snyder DCEU with the mother boxes and all that going on in it. And I mean, look, Matt, I know I'm going off track here, though, but think about it. If you're going to have the mother boxes in the Ayer Cut, right? And then the whole thing with Nightmare World, the Joker is supposed to help them steal a mother box. So it all would tie together. I mean, it'd be so cool. So for me, it kind of has to be shown to make all this tie together. And Margot shouldn't, I don't think it would be a bad move on her not just to support it, to give the thumbs up. She doesn't have to go on a rant, but you can get the thumbs up to it.
Yeah, and this is like my issue here is that it'd be one thing if it was like about her doing a new movie and she doesn't want to do it. Fine, I respect that. That's her choice. That's her time. But this isn't her time. She already filmed her stuff for this movie. This
movie's made. You agreed to do it. Yep.
And I think here's the thing that I think a lot of people need to remember. David Ayer is a big reason why Margot Robbie is as big as she is in the first place. He is the one who cast her as Harley Quinn.
Yep.
And I think, her popularity as Harley Quinn, I don't 100% know if this is true, but I'm pretty sure that her popularity as Harley Quinn led her to other projects such as Barbie.
Oh yeah, I mean the Suicide Squad put her on the map, and that was a big hit. Wasn't that a $700 million movie in the end too? Close to it. Someone help me.
It was.
Yeah, it banged, and without any big known superheroes in the movie. I think Harley Quinn was like the most known one. Yes, I know the Batfleck cameos and all that, but they're just little cameos. He's not like an actual main character in the movie or anything. Even though those scenes were exciting, the Batfleck scenes are like, damn, he's so badass. But yeah, it totally put her in the public light as a movie star, right? What should be for that? I don't even know. I first heard of her in the Suicide Squad, and I thought that version of Harley Quinn was her best version of Harley Quinn so far, still to this day.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that is the best version, like the dark version of Harley Quinn is, because at the end of the day, that's what she was cast for. She was cast to play the dark version of the character.
Yep.
Because David Ayer saw something in her, and I just think it's a bad look, in my opinion, for her to try to block the Ayer cuts after what David Ayer has done for her.
Yeah, I mean, it would be weird. It'd be a weird flex for her to block it. I mean, even if she doesn't like that version of the movie, it'd be like, well, okay, but why? You're kind of screwing the guy who gave you a big shot, in a Hollywood movie. But weird. But Birds of Prey's version of Harley Quinn, watered down,
That was
and then the James Gunn's, the Suicide Squad version of her didn't even make sense. I didn't know what the heck was going on there.
I will be honest, there was one James Gunn scene of Harley Quinn I did really like, and that was when she broke out of that prison. I think that was probably the one good Harley Quinn scene that James Gunn did. And it's actually, I'll be honest, it's one of my favorite Harley Quinn scenes. I know I'm giving credit to James Gunn for something.
No, I mean, that you're being honest. That's what, to have honest conversations, you got to be honest, right? So if you enjoyed something from it, I hated the president falling in love with her and the song and dance routine. I was like, what is going on? This felt weird watching it. But anyway, yeah, it'd be a weird flex for her to try to stop it. I don't think she can, because when there's money involved and if someone want to, everything has a price.
Yeah, exactly. Everything has a price. And also, it's easy money for her too, because I'm sure the actors are gonna have to get paid now. So, I mean, here's the reality. You're getting paid for doing nothing. Why would you turn that down?
That's true. Because it'll be a whole new version of the movie. I'm sure they get paid something, but it just can't happen. They're going to get something off of the sale of that movie somewhere, some way.
Yeah. So, and again, I mean, who knows? Maybe they could tie it to the streaming. I don't know how that works. With it being a new movie, with it being a director's cut, all that stuff gets a little murky at times. But at the end of the day, it's easy money. But the biggest thing is that David Ayer is the reason that she is Harley Quinn. He is the reason that she is this big star, that she made it to Barbie. And I think the last thing, it's just not a professional courtesy to try to put him down. I know it's show business, but I still think there are professional courtesies out there that actors and directors need to have.
Oh, for sure. Yes. You have to you gotta, show support to each other. And also, I mean, you don't want to get blacklisted by not supporting your director, I'm sure that's not a good thing unless your director is in some type of complete controversy that no one wants to be associated with. You don't want that type of stuff on your name that you didn't support, your director and all that. It'd be terrible.
Yeah, so I don't. Again, that the whole if Margot wants it to me, that's why that argument doesn't really hold water for me, because of that simple reason, right there.
I mean, like we said, even if she feels that way, I mean, she didn't like that version of the movie. It really doesn't matter, I think, in the end, because hey, someone is willing to make some money off of it, the money's gonna be made. The deal's gonna be made. Just how it goes.
And we just
she
have
should
to
be worrying about Barbie 2 more than at the air. Stop trying to stop the Ayer Cut, if that's even true. If she is actually trying to do that, I don't think she is. It'd be weird.
Yeah, exactly. I think she should just focus on Barbie 2, Harley Quinn, and James Gunn's DCU, or in Greta Gerwig. That's her name, right? Greta Gerwig, the Barbie director.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
But in her, because as Mikey says, she's going to be the one directing Birds of Prey. So, or likely, I guess it's not officially happening yet. But point is, she should be focused on that, not other projects.
With the Korean speaking huntress movie and all that.
Yeah. Yes.
Off to a great start. All right. No offense to Korea or anything, but it's just weird to make a whole movie for the U.S. market with Korean language. But stranger things happen, right, Bat Dan? Who knows?
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe it'll be a hit if it's executed properly. The problem is it's under James Gunn, so
it'll be wacky.
Very wacky indeed.
It'll be wacky. Let's leave it at that.
But yeah, at the end of the day, just support your director, support the director who gave you success. You don't need to promote it heavily. You don't need to do anything. Just give your blessing and move on to other things. Simple as that.
I mean, theoretically speaking, let's say like something like if the Ayer Cut shows up on Netflix, it's going to be huge. Huge. Because just this Netflix subscriber base is huge. It's global. The biggest subscription service in the world for streaming. Can you imagine if they get the Ayer Cut? Something like that would go down. I mean, it would blow that movie up again, and her version of Harley Quinn in that movie. It'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it would have a lot of success, and it would be nice for David Ayer because he gets blamed for that other version of Suicide Squad, the same way that Zack Snyder got blamed for Justice League.
Yeah, that's boy. What a situation they created for themselves over there at WB. Well, if it's successful, then we'll claim it. But if it's not successful, we'll blame the original directors that these aren't even their movies.
Yeah, it just shows that studio versions are just not it just shows directors' versions are just always better.
Yeah. Well, they're not worried about, time limits and things like that. And they're trying to tell a good story. And it's usually, they're keeping better track of how good the story is being told over, is this 2 hours or not? You know what I mean?
How do you do a 2-hour Justice League movie? How do you think that's a good idea?
You can't. Not with all that. And well, look what happened when they tried. It was a discombobulated, mess. It made no sense. Kind of made sense. I call it. It was like the coloring book version of Justice League. It's just here's our little story. Color it in real quick and move on. It was terrible. All the meat and potatoes were left out of it.
Yeah, that's love that analogy, but yeah, that's what it was. I mean, and Studio Squad again wasn't as bad as Justice League. It was, I mean, I enjoyed the film, but it's not David Ayer's true version. The stuff that people complain about David Ayer wasn't his stuff.
Yeah.
He was forced to direct it, sure, but he didn't do a lot of the rewrites. In fact, it was actually David Ayer even mentioned that when Jeff Johns made Harley Quinn an accomplice to Robin's murder, that was him 100% in the editing process. David
Yeah.
Ayer had nothing to do with that because he had a whole timeline set up where after Joker kills Robin, Batman breaks his teeth. So then when you
Hence
see
the damage tattoo and all that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So when you see Joker with his broken teeth and Harleen Quinzel before she's Harley Quinn, he's already killed Robin. So Harley being an accomplice to Robin's murder doesn't make a lot of sense.
Dude, I read that Error didn't even know they did all that to the movie, and then he saw it, and that's when he first saw all the changes at a premiere or something.
Wouldn't surprise me because
Can you imagine the shock? Like what the hell is this? It's not in my movie. This is insane.
and it would really be good for David Ayer for people to see that so that he can get his name restored the same way Zack Snyder did.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
Margot
look what it did for Justice League once Zack Snyder's real version came out.
Well, yeah, well, there was actually YouTuber Jeremy Johns literally apologized to Zack Snyder, like not directly apologized to Zack Snyder, but he basically said like I doubted him and I feel bad that I doubted him. That's the kind of turnaround the Snyder Cut gave people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a way better movie, obviously. So
Mikey Sutton too.
Yeah.
Mikey Sutton was a Snyder hater at first.
Correct. Until he saw the Snyder Cut and an extended version of BVS. It all started making sense.
Yeah, exactly. And he resaw Man of Steel and he liked it better the second time he saw it.
Yeah, I think the problem with Man of Steel, a lot of people is holding on to the Christopher Reeve Superman.
Who killed Zod? Just saying. Don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, we'll be here all night, man.
Oh, it was funny though, because I actually had that argument when I was in line for a South Park exhibit in Chicago. There was like a traveling South Park exhibit. And I got into an argument with someone over that very topic. He's like, oh, I don't like Zack Snyder. He killed Zod, and that's Superman shouldn't do that. And I'm like, but he kills in Superman 2, and then he's trying to like change his argument. It's like, fine, I don't like Superman 2 then. And
come on, bro.
Eventually, I just turned around and I basically signaled him, don't talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
And then it was such an awkward second half because it was like we were only halfway through the line when that happened. So it was just such awkward silence for half the line.
I mean, all those early Zack Snyder DCEU movies had so much built-in agendas going against them, and propaganda going against them to try to make them fail. That, I mean, people were just hating on these movies and they hadn't even seen them because of what they heard from the propaganda and the agendas against these movies. because a certain other company wanted them to fail. Just saying that, they wanted them to fail, and they sent out all the notes to their agents to get out there and destroy these movies critically online and this and that. And that's what happened. A lot of people didn't even see these movies. All they ever heard was, "Oh, I heard it sucked," right? "Oh, I heard it sucked." And they never even seen them because the propaganda against them. And now, it's good now that a lot of people are catching them again on streaming, on, however else they see them on, TNT and all that. Like, it's not that bad. It's pretty good. That's usually what happens when they actually watch them.
Yeah, and it shows how well the movie's aged. And that happens to a lot of movies. Is people think they're bad at first, but then as time goes on, they realize how good they actually are. And then you have the opposite effect too. Like Dark Knight Rises was a movie I thought was really good, and then as time went on, I'm like, wow, it's not that good compared to the other two.
Oh no, and not to the other two. The other two are fabulous. I still like it, but yeah, it's not as good as the Dark Knight for sure.
A lot of the plot holes I kind of noticed a lot more, like how Bruce Wayne's fingerprints were used in a robbery. Like, even though there was a robbery at that stock thing, you think that any transaction made there would be null and void.
Yeah.
So it just seemed kind of weird, especially if Bruce Wayne wasn't even there, because Bruce Wayne is famous, regardless of whether or not he was a billionaire. He's famous, and you think that people would notice that he wasn't even there when the robbery went down.
I was always gotten amazed how fast his broken back healed. I was like, okay.
That's good to know. If your back hurts, just get a rope. That's all you need to do. That's good.
Just keep trying to climb out of the bottom of a pit. Your back will heal. Thank you.
That's the reality. Zack Snyder's movies are still being talked about today and you got an instance like Trolling Stones, who made Zack Snyder's movie #1 and then made Zack Snyder's movie number 50, because somehow you make that mistake.
Yeah. Someone need engagement? Does someone need engagement that bad to say it's #1 at first? And get everybody come look at the site? Because they just know putting Zack Snyder there. I don't even, it's a troll, but I don't think it's about trolling. I think it's about engagement. They wanted to get all of them Zack Snyder fans over there and tweeting about it. And then they did their thing later, where they went ahead and did that. I don't think it was a troll. I think it was using the Snyder fans for engagement. Because in the end of the day, how many people clicked on that article?
A lot.
Yeah.
Which
they knew what they're doing. It was a total dick move. You don't do that. It's very unprofessional, and they should, unfortunately. But Rolling Stone's been a terrible sellout zine for decades now. It started out as a counterculture magazine, and now it's this mainstream rubbish. To me, Rolling Stone's a joke. That's all I'm going to say. And and with the way they acted right then and there, it proved to me again, that they're a joke.
Yeah, well, they're owned by Penske Media, right?
I don't even know who owns them.
Because I know a lot of the same trades, Variety, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, are all owned by the same company.
Same company. Well, yeah, then you might be onto something there.
Which people need to realize when you see a lot of articles coming out. If they're all owned by the same company, I kind of count that as one source, really.
Pretty much, yeah. It's all leading to the profits are all going to the same building. Yeah. They all have different names on the magazines, but it's all the same, same person's getting rich off it all. Well, maybe not so much now. That's why the websites are more important than the print. And that's why they put Zack Snyder #1. They wanted that, engagement. They knew all the Snyderverse fans, which are huge, would retweet it. And it was just spread like wildfire. And then, we meant number 50. Here we go again, getting more engagement.
Yeah, negative engagement.
Probably the most clicks you probably had on Rolling Stone in a long time, I bet, too.
Yeah, and that just shows you have to take these trades with a grain of salt because they don't always report the truth. I mean,
No,
supposedly they did it with Stephen Amell.
good
So,
point. Yeah, they can,
but
they can destroy a career just to get, clicks.
yeah, I mean,
That's a good fact.
we've seen it happen with other celebrities. I mean, heck, look what went on with Ezra Miller. I'm not saying Ezra Miller was innocent of everything, but what people were really focusing on was driven by the clickbait headlines
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
more BS stuff.
That's the only and main reason the flash bomb. Ezra Miller's name was controversial and driven through the mud by the media. I'm not saying Ezra was a great guy at the time doing the great things. No, but did anybody ever really talk about how all the charges were kind of dropped after the fact? No, never heard about that, did you? But boy, you were sure hearing about Weird Farm and grooming this and all that and transgender this and that and that movie just had so much working against it with that because there's a big base of people who are so anti that and I'm not saying anyone's pro grooming. Of course, that's going to be controversial. No one's going to want to support that. Which it turned out maybe he really by the law standard he was proven innocent. He wasn't grooming. So, but all that other
Exactly.
stuff, on right wing conservative talk shows and radio that did apparently I found Mikey was saying that was a big thing they would cover all the time. Ezra Miller.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because at the end of the day, too, I mean, I know some people who lean very conservative and were insisting that Ezra Miller's a pedophile, and it's just, but they're very extreme on that end, and
And you constantly hear that every day. It becomes an echo chamber, right? Or it just people just automatically assume, and that's what it is, and it's the truth. And I'm not going to go see this movie supporting a pedophile.
but it would make sense if because like my theater, I thought I had a pretty decently crowded theater. Same with Sky, so I didn't like the fact that this bomb shocked me because. But that would make sense though, because a lot of the southern states would be a little bit more conservative, which is why I'm in Illinois, and Illinois is more of a blue state, whereas and Sky's in California, which is a very blue state. Whereas
Yeah, I mean, of course, the big cities are important. There, a lot of money is made in them, but there's a lot of places in between cities, and they're not going to. If they've been listening to this, propaganda, their little, smaller towns and all that are small big cities as we call them here in Texas. They're not showing up, and a lot of money is made in those theaters too. You know, the land in between the East Coast and the West Coast, especially in down in the South. I live in San Antonio. It was crowded when I saw it, so who knows, But maybe you go up to Fredericksburg, Texas, and New Braunfels, Texas, smaller little cities outside of San Antonio. They probably had no one in them theaters, man.
yeah, and sad, and I hope that Ezra Miller can still get work. I hope. I mean, I'll be honest. If Zack Snyder Justice League 2 happens, or when it happens, I vastly prefer that to be with Ezra Miller in it.
I don't think Zack would recast them.
Zack's loyal, and that's one
Yeah.
thing that.
Especially now that he's proven innocent. Why are you going to discriminate against him?
And again, eventually people do see the truth eventually. I mean, I'm sure cutting Johnny Depp, for example, was the right move. I'm saying that in quotes at the time they did it. It just wasn't the right move when the movie got released.
Yeah.
In court of public opinion, I'm going off of.
Yeah, court of public,
Not
like Sock said, court of public opinion and the court of law are definitely two different things.
And in my opinion, we should be more bothered about this because I say this a lot. Today it's Ezra Miller. Tomorrow it's you or me. I say this every video I talk about Ezra Miller because it's an important thing to realize is that what happens if one day people are like, oh, look at L Necron, look what the stuff he's doing. Look at Bat-Dan, look at the stuff he's doing, and it catches fire.
Yep.
And unlike people like Ezra Miller, we don't have money. We don't have.
Oh, it's already they already tried to do it to me, Bat-Dan. making videos of
Oh.
me and things like that. Way back, they tried it. They can't cancel Necron, but they tried to. Certain betas.
Yeah, I'm surprised it bombed too. I mean, and it's sad, and
It's very unfortunate because, like, you know, me and Sky talked about it, and there's been other blockbusters have been way worse and made a lot of money than The Flash. The Flash was a cool little movie. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I thought Keaton and Batfleck were great in their perspective parts in the movies. The Batfleck suit didn't bother me. The CGI is getting blown out proportion by people. They're taking the worst looking scenes and just talking about those. Or what about the good CGI in the movie? Does anybody talk about that? Of course not. They're just trying to, you know, ruin it.
you know, here's the funny thing, Necron. I understand what Muschietti's point was before he even said it. Like when I saw the Chrono Bowl scene, I'm like, wait, that's the bad CGI people are talking about. But maybe it kind of makes sense for it to look like that because you're not seeing real people. You're seeing Speed Force images. You don't know what that would actually look like. It might actually look fake. It's like if you see a computer generated image in real life, it doesn't look real.
Yeah. It's a fragment of something that was left, right? You know, can we say that? And it's not the actual time and place, it's a fragment of it. So I get, yeah, I totally get what he was saying too with the Chrono Bolt whole situation. Yeah. Marcus is like, he says the Flash was flawed, but a good time. I didn't even think it was flawed. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, man. Had a great time at it. I thought it was a really good movie. I already bought it on digital, and if you watch the bonus scenes, it would a director's cut of this movie would be a great ideal. Because even those scenes fill in the gaps, they even make it better.
Oh, so you saw the deleted scenes?
I watched a bunch of them, yeah.
Oh wow, I better buy that on digital because I want to see that. Because, and again, maybe like the Ayer Cut, Netflix can buy that too.
You never know. They could probably get it
on.
They could get it on the cheap at this point. I'm sure, you know.
And think about like this: they could put the Cavill and the Batfleck scenes in the end back in because if they are thinking about doing ZSJL 2, why not?
I mean, it falls into the timeline. I mean, Snyderverse. Yeah. It's a Snyderverse movie. I don't care what anybody else says. That's a Zack Snyderverse movie. It takes place in the Snyderverse.
The only reason I don't 100% consider it Snyderverse is the same reason I don't consider Studio Squad canon. Is because there's another version of the film, as far as I'm concerned, is canon. So as far as I'm concerned, the Muschietti version of the Flash film is the canon version of the film.
Well, yeah, you're going to get a better version, you know, obviously on that. But hey, did he travel back in time in Justice League?
Yep.
But that's what they talk about in the Flash. Him and, you know, Batfleck.
Exactly. So people need to stop trying to bring justice into.
It's not. Who in their right mind, even at this point, would want to like? No, this has nothing to do with the Snyderverse. This is a Justice canon movie. What studio head after that movie flopped so hard would want to even try to associate it with that movie? That's just dumb.
Hey, you know, look, Aquaman is canon. Like Aquaman is canon to Justice League because when that film came out, Justice League was the only film that was out. So they had no choice.
And loosely related at best to that too, you know.
I just don't consider that one Snyderverse canon for many, many reasons. Unless Atlantis has a Lazarus pit for Mira's father.
Yeah.
It's like a continuity issue here and there is okay. Like you can kind of do a little mental gymnastics, but there's a lot of mental gymnastics you have to play to make that movie canon to the Snyderverse. Aquaman, I mean.
Aquaman, yeah. Well, like you said, they were trying to still work with the Justice League. Like there was no, you know, at that time there was no chance of the Snyder Cut happening, so they had to, you know, deal with the cards dealt to them.
You know, when the Snyder Cut happened, it definitely improved the DC brand, which actually this kind of segues perfectly into our next topic of why Netflix should sell the Ayer Cut. The DC brand. I mean, I do think that Ezra Miller was definitely one of the factors of that movie flopping, but there are other factors to consider. Like the DC brand is just not good right now.
It's not. I mean, it's a sad fact. Look at everything after BVS.
Yeah.
Outside of the movies that are Elseworlds to the Snyderverse, like Joker, you can't count those as part of the connected universe. We all know this, and we're not going to go over that. Birds of Prey didn't do well. The Suicide Squad didn't do well. What else was there any more? Of course, The Flash didn't do well.
Flash, Black Adam. I mean, I think it did decent considering the bad marketing and the no-name character, but to Warner Brothers, that was a flop.
Yeah, well, that was the whole. Remember, that was the whole reason. The reset supposedly happened was the Black Adam results.
Was that really a good idea? No.
No, of course not. It wasn't a good idea. What you should have done was had Henry Cavill out at Comic-Con when they did the Black Adam thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get it, like, oh, that spoils the surprise. But I think it would have helped build hype for it, to know that Cavill was, coming out in the movie. Because when did they finally announce it before it?
That he was going to be the movie? I think that was pretty I swear that was like the week before that got leaked.
Yeah. That's a tough sell for the casual audience to catch on to that.
Here's the thing, though. When Cavill announced he was back, that was when I think in recent years when the DC brand was at an all-time high. Because I remember that same week that Henry Cavill announced he was back, the Ant-Man 3 trailer came out and no one cared. It was all about Henry Cavill's Superman. It was the only time that DC really outshined Marvel. And they threw that away.
Correct, dude. That's right. I do remember that. Everybody was talking about Cavill being back. It was on the trades everywhere. All the YouTube shows were talking about it. It was, hype.
Yeah, I hope.
But you got to remember too, there was a certain segment of people boycotting Black Adam.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put the complete blame on them because you still need to get the general audience. But when you tell word of mouth is a real thing. When you hear it from your friends, they're like, "Oh, don't see that." Okay. Oh, that's not good. Don't see that. A lot of people, take that to heart and they don't go see it.
Here's my thing about that. I think if the Snyder fandom was united, I do think that movie would have been a success. Because you know what other film was poorly marketed that was a huge success? Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I think it was the fans working together to hype up that movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you put Zack Snyder's name on a lot of things and it's just going to take off. But yeah, there was no fandom at heads, no DC fandom. I mean, the antis, of course, they're always going to be there, but all the Zack Snyder fans were united for the Snyder Cut on Max.
Exactly. Whereas they weren't for Black Adam. And
yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You had to have Superman in the damn marketing of the movie because Black Adam isn't known to the mainstream. My wife had no idea what Black Adam was, or gee, that was even a DC thing. I explained it to her.
I knew Black Adam because I played the Injustice games, and also I've seen some Shazam animated movie. So I knew that he was. I knew who he was, but
you're a DC fan. That's how you knew. The average, person who isn't a DC fan but knows who Superman and Batman is, they don't know who Black Adam is. But if you told people, no, Superman, or they see Superman in a trailer, even just a quick glimpse of him, right? Oh, he's part of that. You know what I mean? It helps make that connection that, this is, in Superman's world, this is happening in that. They probably might have been disappointed when they go see the movie and he's at the very end. But I thought Black Adam again was, not the greatest, movie I ever seen, but I thought it was a solid movie. I enjoyed it. I wanted to see more of it, and I really enjoyed the JSA. I would love to see more of them. I kind of hope, as part of Sell Snyderverse to Netflix, I hope Black Adam gets to come over with it too somehow.
Oh yeah, I hope so too, and I think there's a very good chance because, especially because like Black Adam stuff doesn't really conflict with anything James Gunn is doing, so there's no concern really with those characters other than maybe Doctor Fate, but other than that, so there's incentive. But
Let's
this is
let's
kind of
let,
the
let's do some little what ifs, okay? Say, in the Nightmare Snyderverse movie, who would be able to challenge Superman?
Black Adam.
And Black Adam would be your only really choice. I have a feeling Shazam is probably dead. He probably got killed by Superman. But Black Adam would be the only one, I think, on the level that could even like slow down Superman for them to even have a chance to get their missions done or anything like that. So who knows? Wouldn't it be cool to see Black Adam fighting Superman? Like we should have gotten.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe even one of the movies, if let's say they want to do some smaller projects before Zack Snyder Justice League 2, they could do that Black Adam v Superman movie. Because that one you could market with Henry Cavill.
Or the next Air Suicide Squad movie where Black Adam was going to be their nemesis. Wouldn't that be cool to see that?
Oh yeah, God, that one kills me that we
that would have ruled.
And maybe again, if we get the Ayer Cut on Netflix, we could actually get that sequel, because if that's popular, again, any company but Warner Brothers, when something's successful, they do more.
Well, what's funny to me too is I hear Beta saying, "Oh, they're not going to have 3, Batman running around." And I say, "You got more than 3 Batman comics, don't you? Why can't you? Elseworlds is Elseworlds." I think the audience has become hip enough to figure out the Elseworlds situation.
Yeah, and especially who knows if 3 of them would actually be at the same time, because who knows how long until Brave and the Bold gets made, or if it gets made. Again, Superman Legacy has to succeed before this other stuff is guaranteed. So,
well, that movie ain't getting filmed unless something gets settled.
yeah,
The strike. So they're behind on that. And God knows, it might be sold to Comcast before we even know it, So that's why I don't even worry about any of this talk of, Christopher Nolan's going to restore the Snyderverse on Comcast and this and that. That to me is this bizarro talk. Like, it's not even his universe. Christopher Nolan's going to work on his projects, right?
yeah.
And I think we as fans should concentrate on selling ZSJL to Netflix. I'm tired of dangling carrots from these guys. As fans, we're going to take this into our own hands and tell these companies what we want.
Exactly.
You do what we want, we'll give you our money. It's not a freaking hard concept.
And this is actually kind of, I love what you just said right there, because this is actually what I mean with the DC brand. Because think about it, if Warner Brothers Discovery sells the Ayer Cut to Netflix, they might buy some short-term goodwill from the fandom. So if they, let's say, announce some deal where that's happening, they might buy enough goodwill for maybe people to at least see Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2.
My attitude would probably totally change on a lot of this stuff. Because as long as I know I'm getting, Snyderverse continue on somewhere and I know it's happening, I'm not guessing it's happening, it's guaranteed, I'm open. I'm open because I am a DC fan first and foremost. It would change like you said, it would open up some good relationships between the fans and everyone else again. Because look, you'll get your Gunn movies over here and you'll get your Snyderverse movies over here. And there's no reason for anyone to be upset anymore, right? Everyone gets what they want, So I wouldn't have, my ill will meter would come down. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have so much ill will. It would probably come down and I'd be like, okay, I'm cool. I'm not worrying about this anymore, because I'm getting the Snyderverse back.
Well, what's a perfect example of that? What you just said is, now this movie didn't end up being good, but people were seeing, at least the DC fans were, is Wonder Woman 1984.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one film that does get the pandemic excuse for the box office. That one 100% gets.
Oh yeah, I mean that was at the height
Yeah.
of the pandemic. But I'm
Well,
not gonna hold the box office against it because yeah, that one for real.
Well, because actually for me it was funny because like theaters weren't open in Illinois, but they were open in Wisconsin, and I was seeing my mom in Wisconsin for Christmas. I stayed an extra night in Wisconsin just to see Wonder Woman 1984 in theaters.
Wow.
That's how dedicated I was to see that movie in theaters. But the point is, we all knew it wasn't a Snyderverse movie. We all knew it was going to be disconnected from the Snyderverse. But we were excited because we were getting the Snyder cut.
You're right. There wasn't a boycott Wonder Woman 84 movement. There was nothing like that going on during that time. Maybe a couple of the diehards, but not like there was later on. You're right. Everybody was appeased because we were getting the Snyder cut. It's a good point, Bat Dan. Damn.
So if you would put the Ayer cuts and maybe even some of the other, well, we'll say the Ayer cut since that's the new one that people haven't seen yet. If you put that on Netflix, you're giving us another Snyderverse movie that everyone agrees is a Snyderverse movie. No one doubts that one being Snyderverse. So then you might put some people might be more willing to see Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 because we know Zack Snyder's words aren't enough for some people. So give us the Snyderverse. You put a little good faith back in the fandom.
Goodwill goes a long way. It really does, you know. It'd be a goodwill gesture.
And could you imagine if they released the Ayer cut, the first Warner Brothers Discovery released the Ayer cut the first week they took over? Or at least announced it, I should say.
We'd probably all be having different conversations right now.
Oh, I bet you a lot more people would have seen Black Adam. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee a lot more people would have seen Black Adam.
Yeah, because they would have created goodwill with the fans. Goodwill goes a long way.
Yeah, and we can talk about these other projects all like, yes, I do want Zack Snyder Justice League 2. I do want Batfleck, Man of Tomorrow, ZSJL 3, but at the end of the day, those are not filmed. The Ayer cut is filmed. This is something they can arrange to happen now.
There's not like I can't really say that any better than you. You know, it's available. Release it. Make that goodwill. Let the fans see. But there's, you know, we know there's a certain guy who doesn't want that movie to come out, regardless.
Well, good thing there are people who rank above him.
Yep, that's what
like Mike DeLuca.
This is a WB movie. We're gonna put it out. Sorry.
Because at the end of the day, like the way I think the power structure work is like technically Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy outrank James Gunn. The only thing is that David Zaslav put a protection on James Gunn so they can't interfere with his DCU.
Yeah. His DCU is protected.
That's it.
I'm sure he rused the day he gave him that protection too.
And James Gunn hasn't earned it. He hasn't done enough that he earns like that power to be like, nope, I don't want this Ayer cut to be released.
Oh, I agree. I agree. He shouldn't have that type of power. Can you imagine if they just went ahead and done that?
Oh, I don't know though, because if you announced Man of Steel 2 and Zack Snyder wasn't directing it.
Well, you don't even announce who's directing it. You just say Man of Steel 2 forthcoming.
And you know who you should have not also announced being in Man of Steel 2? Ray Fisher. Because that's another one that the Snyder onlys hide behind.
Yeah, if he would have gotten Ray Fisher on board, his name out there. Like we said, we'd be living in a different world right now, different conversation with all this stuff.
And, you know, and all that's at the end of the day is coulda, shoulda, woulda. But with the Ayer cut selling that to Netflix, this is something that they can do right now. They can announce that right now, and then people will give Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 a chance.
You don't have nothing to be so mad about, right? You don't have to have a grudge. You could just like go and enjoy DC because they're taking care of the fans.
And exactly. That's all we want is for the fans to feel like we matter, for us to know that we're see good content. Not every DC movie needs to be a groundbreaking masterpiece.
No. I mean, that's what Black Adam was, and that's what the Flash was. I thought they were just good, solid DC movies. I liked them better than Birds of Prey. I thought, they were better than that. Way better than that, actually.
Oh, yeah. And I think, honestly, better than pretty much any of the recent Marvel movies.
Oh, the recent Marvel films have been kind of kapoo. I'm looking forward to Midnight Suns and that whole version of Marvel, and that's the Marvel Monsterverse or whatever you want to call it. That's going to be where I'm going to be like loving all the Marvel stuff. But the movies lately been kind of like, I thought Doctor Strange was pretty good though, part 2. But I'm a Sam Raimi head, so I'm going to be biased.
Fair enough. I guess I got disappointed because I expected more Marvel cameos in that movie, like actual something like what we got into Across the Spider-Verse, where we actually saw all like different Spider-Man from different movies.
Yeah,
I expected to see.
I don't know what happened there because it sounded like they had stuff filmed, and I don't know what happened. But yeah, that should have really had way more cameos, and I think that would have really put that movie even way more over the edge. That to really break open the multiverse than it, because they made it sound like a multiverse of madness. It was going to be insane with all these crazy cameos, but it looks like Deadpool's going to go ahead and fix that situation.
That's so funny. The movie that's called Multiverse of Madness is the worst multiverse movie of all these of the bunch.
Yeah. Hey, but you got your Mr. Fantastic in there,
Yeah, that was cool to see. But the thing is, aside from Xavier, you didn't see other established actors, which is what people were really looking for. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to see John Krasinski as as Reed Richards, but I wanted to actually see Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire should have cameoed in this movie under Sam Raimi.
For sure, you should have had at least one of the Spider-Man in there.
But I'll tell you this: I thought The Flash was a better movie than Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, same here.
And I'll be honest, and one reason which a lot of people will hate me for saying, I think Ezra Miller is a big reason why that I rank the film as high as I do. Because when you those scenes with him and his mom,
Ezra Miller's fantastic in The Flash. He sells it. It's good.
Yeah, I agree. Still, Ezra. I mean, despite some of the stuff that's going on right now, Ezra has a future. And the Flash movie, that is the reason why it really is why I rank it as high as I do. To me, Ezra Miller is the actual highlight of that movie.
I'm old. I have to go with Keaton. I really enjoyed Keaton coming back and getting all Arcane Knight fighting. I was like, hey, this is great.
I liked Keaton better in the Flash movie than his own movies.
Well, yeah, the technology, he can go ahead and do a lot more cooler shit. But I know what you're saying. Now, I mean, I was in line from, Batman 1989. I think I was 19 when that came out. So, of course, it's going to have a bigger impact. I mean, just to see Keaton back was really cool. But with the modern effects and everything that they could do, that whole scene where they went down and, broke Supergirl free, that was great. That was kick-ass stuff. I mean, he was just doing some cool stuff in there. And the people who didn't see that, I feel sorry for you because, you really missed out on some great action. And of course, the whole Batfleck scene, too, the chase scene was incredible.
Yeah, and it's funny. People really hate this lasso of truth scene for Batfleck, but I don't get why. I know Joss Whedon used the lasso of truth, but the lasso of truth was also used in Wonder Woman.
It's the lasso of truth.
Yeah. And here's what
I thought the jokes landed. I didn't oh my God, Joss just. I laughed. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Affleck praised that specific scene though too.
And you know what? This might be blasphemy, the people, but I thought the lasso of truth scene and Justice League was one of the funnier parts that actually hit when Aquaman did it. Compared to the other jokes, they weren't that funny, but that one was actually funny. Like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. It's same thing with James Gunn and Harley Quinn. That one scene, it's I'm not gonna say something's bad just because I hate the director or I hate the movie. If there's a scene that I like in the movie, I'll be honest. That scene where Barry sneaks up on Superman and Superman turns around,
mm-hmm.
in the Speed Force. I was I was even thinking, oh, please be in the Snyder Cut. Please be in the Snyder Cut. Please be in
Mm.
the Snyder Cuts. And I was so glad it was because I love that. That was my favorite scene in Justice League, and of course that was a Snyder scene, so that's why.
Yeah, there you go. Of course, all the best scenes in Justice League are in Snyder scenes, but yeah, but I hear you.
But
The whole falling on Wonder Woman's boobs and all
oh
that,
god,
that's the stuff that's like trash and all that, but the lasso of truth bit was actually funny.
if Barbie wanted to have him make fun of a movie that depowered women, they should have mentioned Justice League.
Oh, I know, putting Wonder Woman through all that crap, ridiculous.
Whereas the Snyder Cut has one of the best female empowerment scenes ever, in my opinion.
Huh, a couple. You got the Amazons and you got Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman does the kill blow on Steppenwolf. She wow, gets him right in midair. Great scene, by the way, too. Only Zack comes up with kick-ass shit like that.
Exactly. Snyder, he's the one who's kind of saved the DC brand, and I kind of want to bring up this point. If they release the Ayer Cut, do you think Black Adam would have had a better box office?
Yeah, I think, well, like you said, there would have been goodwill with the fans. I think the boycott crowd wouldn't have gotten as much steam because people would be happy. They would have caught the goodwill with WBD. Would be like, yeah, I'll go check this out.
And people would be more excited for the DC brand. And again, same with the Flash movie, because I think, again, because you know what I find really funny is that a lot of the boycott people of the Flash movie supported Ezra Miller through all the allegations.
Isn't that weird? But then around
it's like,
boycott the movie. What are you doing?
I'm like, if this movie fails to do a boycott, what do you think that's actually going to be associated with? Do you think it's going to be associated with the 10 minutes of screen time Ray Fisher would have had in that version of the film?
True.
And Mikey, we were actually talking about that.
Yeah. I got that from Mikey's bomb anyway. That's why I was bringing it up. It was back in the day when Mikey brought that up, that Black Adam was going to be in Suicide Squad 2. They were going over to get him.
I remember when one of Sill's haters totally misinterpreted the question to James Gunn. They were like, oh, are you doing a sequel to The Suicide Squad? And James Gunn's like, no. It's like, oh, Mikey's wrong. I'm like, that's not what Mikey said, though.
Oh,
he said a sequel.
These haters and betas and their agenda is just not to spread disinformation. They don't care about what's true and not true. They're just here to spread disinformation and screw things up.
And who knows? I'm saying if Netflix gets the Ayer Cut and Black Adam on Netflix and both are successful on Netflix and they're looking to do new projects, just saying,
anything's possible. Anything's possible. Fire all your bullets, guys. Tell them what you want. Let them know, follow the rules of engagement. Don't be rude. Don't engage with WBD and, hashtag or tag James Gunn and mean tweets. I mean, you can do it. That's what you want to do. But if you want to be taken serious, follow the rules of engagement and ask them for everything. It will not hurt.
And here's kind of another point I kind of want to bring up. So yes, I do agree. I don't want to worry about Universal doing Snyderverse projects right now because no, that's Netflix is the focus to get the sequels. But on the same time, though, once we get the sequels on Netflix, and maybe some of these projects some of these like spin-off projects need a higher budget. If Universal owns Comcast, maybe at that point there could be
I lost you for a second. What were you saying?
So basically what I'm saying is like after we sell the Zack Snyder Justice League 2, maybe 3 on Netflix, I was thinking that certain spin-offs, if Comcast owns DC by then, at that point we could get some Snyder's first stuff on Universal, like the Black Adam sequel.
Hey, well, Universal will be a whole new company coming in with their whole agenda. I mean, if they see all this stuff did well on Netflix, they might want a piece of the pie as well, They might be, and it is their stuff. Unless, Netflix got these great licensing deals and, who knows how all that works out? I don't know. About how all that works out. But I'm sure, they see it being a big success on Netflix. I'm sure they would want to get a piece of the pie somehow too. It only makes sense.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, the Ayer Cut can really strengthen that DC brand right now. Because that's something at the end of the day they can do right now.
Yeah. Right now. It'd be crazy not to capitalize on Margot Robbie's what's the word? Just being a hot item right now. Popularity, She
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities that they can do for Netflix. And so again, some of these are other Snyderverse projects, but again, this whole Snyderverse library on Netflix. I mean, I know Zack didn't direct the Ayer Cut, but he also didn't direct Army of Thieves. That's what I'm thinking of. But that's a Snyderverse movie.
Yeah, well, that was another thing too. Even back when the original slate came out, what was it in 2016? 2016,
where 15 or 16, one of the two.
But we know what we're talking about. There was no way Zack was going to direct everything. Of course, he was. So why would he not do that now? Yeah, he's going to direct. He's going to direct, the main big guns, Justice League movies, and maybe hopefully he directs a Batfleck movie. That's who I want to see direct a Batfleck movie, Zack Snyder. But even if he doesn't, he's going to put them in capable hands with people, and I'm sure he.
I don't know if you're cutting out or I am.
It's probably me, because you were cutting out on me a second ago too. But Zack, well, there's no way he could possibly do all these things. He's gonna have to hire out.
And David Ayer could, I mean, if he gets success on Netflix, I'm just saying, if Zack doesn't direct the Batfleck movie, and we know Ben likely doesn't want to do it, David Ayer is another candidate.
Yeah, for sure. But it'd be nice to see the Ayer Cut to even know what type of DC movie he would make, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, that it's not just DC brand, but the Ayer brand too, is that the Ayer Cut, but I guess for Warner Brothers' agenda is the DC brand would just be so strengthened with this project.
Now, I mean, we got to get some type of good thing going for a connected DC universe. And it was going fine until they screwed up, Justice League. Justice League was, if they would just let Zack do Justice League, you would have had $1 billion Justice League movie. For sure. I look, they shot themselves in the foot with BVS. That could have been a $1 billion movie, but they pulled out of China, for whatever reasons. It was on, it would have hit that magical number. But that just goes to show there were certain people at WB at that time who didn't want Zack to be successful for whatever reasons. This is weird. I'm not going to get in all that, but you're telling me that ZSJL wouldn't have been $1 billion movies if it got proper theatrical release back then instead of the Joss Whedon crap? It easily $1 billion movie. That movie's fantastic. The reviews would have been. It's just one of those, what if situations, and then everything just would have followed suit. It would have been. We could easily talk about the James Gunn reboot because the whole Snyderverse would have been wrapped up by now, right?
Oh.
We wouldn't have this problem.
But here's the thing too. If going forward, if let's say we get Zack Snyder's a perfect conclusion to the Snyderverse on Netflix, I might be looking more forward to what James Gunn is doing. Maybe there's still the issue of his past DC projects, but I would be a lot more open to it if
that's what we were saying earlier. You wouldn't have the resentment and all that because you're getting your storyline wrapped up. You're getting that whole universe is getting its final book. Nobody wants to get a 3-book series, only get the first 2 and never know what happens. You want to
Yeah.
finish. You want arcs finished. It makes sense. And if they would just finish the damn arc, all this controversy wouldn't even be here. I think everybody would be kind of giving James Gunn an open slate, to see what he does. Would it be compared? Of course, it's going to be compared, but it wouldn't be as bad, as it is now, because what's happening now is it's being suppressed. That's when you try to suppress something that what people want, that's a terrible situation. That causes resentment, that causes backlash, that causes hatred when you try to suppress something that, as still say, the streets want. So stop trying to suppress it, let it happen, and then you get a clean slate to do whatever you want to do next. So like you're saying, sell the Airflick, the Netflix already, and get some goodwill for yourself.
Yeah, at least enough for your next 2 movies.
You won't have all these people who saying, you're going to have some, but you won't have all these people saying, boycott Netflix. I mean, screw it. Boycott Blue Beetle, and boycott Aquaman. And it's not, the fire wouldn't be so outrageous. As Lau saying, dude, truth is being suppressed. When you try to suppress the truth, it causes an awful situation on the streets.
Yeah, exactly. And then Greg Silverman, he was.
I want to see it,
Yeah, same here.
You want to see it. Everybody who's a Snyder fan wants to see the Ayer Cut.
And at least I have something for the DC brand to get hyped for again. Because I'm not going to get hyped for this other stuff right now, but I am hyped. The Ayer Cut is something we're all hyped for, and it is filmed, so unlike these other projects, this one can happen.
Yeah. You're just, you're sitting on it.
And then
keep trying to get it released,
And there's one last point I kind of want to bring up, why now is the time to bring up the Ayer Cut to sell the Ayer Cut, and I would argue maybe even sell Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. But at least this one is a new project. Or actually, hold on. Let me slightly edit that title a little bit, because I don't want to leave these people out either. There we are. The writers are just as important in this. But, I mean, now, rumor is having, and I think Mikey's saying that it's likely going to end soon. It's possibly going to end soon, but here's the thing. Right now, on August 1st, 2023, it's still going on, and they need to find a way to move forward for the time being.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to keep, something in the public eye.
Yeah, and you don't need any actors or writers for this project. They all did their part, and
it's a completed project. It's,
I think Will Rollins said there's some CGI stuff that they would need to fix still, but they're not on strike.
No, they can. Yeah, I don't know how all that works, but I think that the effects house can still finish up effects and all that.
So David Ayer could get that out.
I mean, if they don't have anything to work on, this would give them something to work on. I'm sure, they're working on stuff if they can, but yeah, this would be a great move to improve the DC brand with the fan base. Some goodwill, some good faith.
And it's a way to get through this kind of difficult situation right now with the actor strike, with the writer strike, because again, it could end tomorrow, it could end next year. We don't really. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that earlier.
Watch the beginning. Yeah.
And I'll timestamp this stuff, but yeah, it's one of those things he should have. We were basically saying, even if he meant something different, he should have been more careful with what he said.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is touchy stuff at the moment. You want to make sure you're backing your unions and saying the right things, at least. That's all I can really say about that.
But right now, we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and And Netflix needs new content. And yes, I do think Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder Justice League would also benefit them too. But again, the big thing with the Ayer Cut, what would make that one so superior in a way, is that it's new. It's completely new. It's not. No one has. I mean, except for a very select group of people who David Ayer has shown it to. No one's seen it.
Yeah. I mean, if that went to Netflix as part of a Snyderverse package deal with all the other films, oh my God, that would just push it over the edge. It would push it over the edge on, like, you know, engagement, interest, all that. Because, like, wow, you know, the Ayer Cut, along with everything else, you could actually watch the whole Snyderverse in order if that went over there with it. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh my God, yeah. And I would love to see Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Ayer Cut, Wonder Woman, because that one is Snyderverse, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Just having that all, and you know,
I never even thought about that. Well, they put the Wonder Woman movies over there too. I mean,
well, could you imagine this? I mean, we're talking about they need more content because of the strike, not just the Ayer Cut, but there's 2 other director's cuts that I would love to see on Netflix. The original Patty Jenkins cut with the original 3rd act, because there was because the 3rd act is what. Mikey's gonna say something. I can tell.
What if?
And then, as we said earlier, the Muschietti cuts, just with that Henry Cavill ending and without James Gunn's toothless scene, we'll call it.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh. What up, Skywalker? Thanks for stopping by. I'm actually, after this show, I'm going to have to catch the replay of last night's Night Shift because I heard that one was good.
It's a laugh riot. It's a laugh riot. Mikey and Sky are cutting up. It's a good one. But yeah, dude, you know, that would be like such a coup too to get all that on Netflix. Though, you know, all those films. Wow. It'd be so cool, man.
It's all new content. You don't need. Oh, Mikey. That is such a Mikey thing to do.
He did a Skeletor. He ran from the scene. Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna say, Mikey is never innocent when he says he's innocent.
That's the last thing he is. The cool table representing.
Yep.
The 4th member
of the
finally on Batjan's channel.
Which, Skywalker, you missed the beginning. By pure coincidence, I got the metalhead on for episode 13 of Batdan's discussions.
What if?
And that's the thing. Not just if they could like get a lot of these director's cuts, like the Ayer Cut, like the Jenkins cut, like the Muschietti cut, the Emerald cut of the Snyder cut. That's all new content, like new to the public.
Can you imagine the Emerald cut? How big that would be on Netflix?
Oh yeah, that would be huge. And then if you continue that on, if you put that one exclusively on Netflix, then you know what the sequel is canon to, because that's you know that the sequel would definitely be canon to the Emerald cut.
Dude, I just kind of, as big as the Snyder cut was on HBO Max, I think it goes to a whole nother level if it gets on Netflix. HBO Max is just not the streaming company that Netflix is. It's a big streamer, but Netflix smokes it. Netflix, like, global positioning, it's huge. A lot of people have not seen it still to this day. So if you get on Netflix, you're opening up a whole new market of people who've not seen ZSJO. And just, can you imagine the fanfare of that just happening?
Oh yeah, 100%. So many people, a whole new audience will see it. Because here's the thing, is that when in 2020 and early 2021, I thought we were for sure getting the Snyderverse restored on HBO Max. I thought we would get Zack Snyder Justice League 2 and 3, the Batfleck movie, Man of Steel 2, the Ayer Cut
it looked
on
like
streaming.
That. Yeah.
And I was fine with that. I had no objections to that whatsoever. So I'm not going to complain now about having it on a better streaming service.
Oh no, it only helps it. It only helps the cause. But you know it, Josh.
Hopefully my new ones come in soon.
Yep, you get on over to Ink to the People /sells The Cyborg shirts and the Justice of Gray shirts are going down very soon. You got to get over there and buy them. Come on,
if you're
guys.
watching on replay, link in the
Get over
description.
there and buy them, because once those are gone, we're not going to put them back up for you. This is your second chance to get them. There you go.
Hold on,
buy now or try later. That's all I'm going to say, because you're going to see. Look how good these look, man. Where else you're going to get a Justice League shirt with Green Lantern and Martian Man?
Okay, there we are.
On there.
Pin that. I pinned your comment to the description, in the description.
There you go.
Or pinned it in the chat. So you didn't know how to do that on StreamYard. I had to go on my phone on YouTube to do that.
Hey, we all got to do what we got to do to make this work sometimes, man.
But yeah, with this, because here's the ironic thing is that the strike really kind of helps the Cell movement, because the first phase of the Cell movement is not new projects, or not projects that need to be filmed, I should say. The first phase of the Cell movement is the Ayer Cut, Zack Snyder Justice League 1, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, but I think was getting the extend the Snyderverse over on Netflix, which incorporates the Ayer Cut. But we want to know that Zack Snyder is going to make, his next Justice League projects on Netflix. That's like the goal, the main goal.
I guess what I'm kind of thinking, though, in terms of from Netflix's perspective, is that Netflix is more likely to make a sequel to a project that's on their platform already.
Oh, now I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess maybe the Ayer Cut not necessarily needed for that, but you definitely need Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder Justice League. Those are going to need to go on Netflix first, with or without the writer's strike and the actor strike.
Yeah. The Ayer Cut is a huge. The Ayer Cut going to Netflix would be a huge incentive. Huge incentive, for the Snyderverse on Netflix, and getting people to watch, because you're going to get a completely new movie, basically. That's literally tied into the Snyderverse.
Plus, if Netflix wants to kind of test the waters a little bit too, that's a easy way. That's a less expensive way. Or if
I'm just going to come out and say this: you turn on your Netflix? Justice League and Justice League International animated are always trending now.
Oh, yeah.
Trending. These are 20 plus years old cartoons. Trending. Now I'm gonna pat Cartoons and Serial on the back. I hope we had something to do with that. I think we probably did, but I'm not gonna say we're the only reason, because those cartoons rule. And maybe there's a lot of people just didn't even know about them anymore. A whole new generation is discovering them.
Well, even on Cartoons and Serial, I remember you had Retro Nerd Girl, you had Super Bowl Corey on your pilot episode of they've never seen the Justice League cartoon before, and so them being able to see it for the first time was huge.
Yeah, for sure. So a whole new batch of people are seeing these things. And if you're Netflix, you're going, wow, these cartoons, just these cartoon versions of these characters are always trending. I wonder what it'd be like to have the actual movies on here.
Well, especially if Zack Snyder does well on Netflix. DC does well on Netflix. If the maths, that would only mean that Zack Snyder's DC would do well on Netflix, which there's some movies they can test out right now. Which there's 4 movies they can test out right now. 5 if you include the Jenkins cut, because I still think that one is needed too.
Situation without competition, right? To get your product out there working more. known more. So yeah, that'd be great.
And but that's why the strike is so perfect right now for Cells, because they can get the stuff that's already filmed. That Netflix needs new content. They can test out the stuff that's already filmed, and that gives them more incentive to get sequels when this strike is resolved, which hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I want. Hopefully, everybody gets what they need to get, and everyone's happy, and we can get back to being entertained.
Exactly, and that's we want the actors and the writers to be treated fairly, and we just have to hope for the best with that, and for them to get fair deals, for them to get fair streaming residuals.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole new. Obviously, that's a whole new beast in the industry, and it does need to get handled. Like streaming, money and all that does need to come into the negotiating now, because it's only fair.
I think that's what was different about director's cuts in the past, was that they were just DVDs, which just weren't as big of a deal. So that's why it wasn't really a thought to need to pay the actors for stuff they already filmed. Whereas now streaming's a lot more popular. So now and figuring out what you do. I mean, how much you make a lot more money.
Yeah. So, these aren't normal residuals or I forget the word. But anyway, that you would get like in syndication and all that. Streaming is on demand. These people can watch it over and over, and a lot more people can watch it.
Yeah, even The Flash is done well VOD. I guess not streaming.
Oh, really?
Yet,
I didn't know that. Yeah,
it's done really well. It's done really well on VOD.
I bought it, and I'm going to get the 4K as well, so I'm happy.
I already pre-ordered the 4K.
Yeah, me too.
And actually, now that you mention it, because I was trying to buy it earlier, but it wasn't for sale yet. So now it's good to know that it is for sale now, because I'm going to buy it to support that movie, to support Ezra Miller, to support all this, to support Amy Muschietti, the people who worked on this film.
I want to see those Corona Bowl scenes in 4K, man. And I'll love it. It ain't going to bug me at all. I'll have a good time watching it.
Yeah. And right now, this is what they have to kind of rely on, the stuff that's already filmed, because
I watched
the actors strike.
I watched them Batflick scenes and Michael Keaton scenes over and over. They're great. And Flash is cool too. And I don't know what to call him. Kid Flash, even though he's not Kid Flash, but that's a
Young Barry. Yeah, I know.
Young Barry. Yeah. Young Barry's entertaining too, because he is like a kid. He's like just doing kid stuff.
He had probably one of the best arcs in that movie, the young Barry Allen.
Yeah. I want to give it away if someone hasn't seen it, but yes, he does have a good arc.
But and again, this is why right now is the perfect time with this strike. I mean, again, not just the Ayer Cut. This can apply to anything in the Cell movement. Now is the time to get this stuff over, to get the film stuff over on Netflix.
Shout out to Integrity,
Oh yeah, because Inevitable, yeah.
Integrity never wavered. We have to give him his due. He never wavered. But yeah, man, we got to sell it to Netflix. Netflix is the perfect option for all this. I know, we're going to beat this dead horse. Zack Snyder is there. Get his universe over there. Let him finish his stuff over there. Just do it. Great idea. The Skywalker came up and catapulted into the ether, this whole Cell movement. And now we're doing engagements events, showing Netflix how much, we as fans love DC. If you want a mega engagement event, put one of these movies on, buy one rights to Man of Steel, and let's have a watch party and see how well that does, Can you imagine?
Yeah, there's so much potential right now. There is a lot of potential right now, and at the end of the day, this is a good time. Barbie's popular, so Margot Robbie's popular right now. There's a writer's strike going on. Now is the time to get the Ayer Cut on Netflix. Now is the time. I mean, really, the other stuff on Netflix too, but especially the Ayer Cut with Barbie's popularity right now. Could you imagine a Barbie movie is what's helping our cause?
And you know, like Josh is saying, I think once Rebel Moon comes out, this whole thing's gonna blow up. It wouldn't even blown. It's gonna blow up even more once we see Rebel Moon.
Oh yeah.
I know, bro. I already patted myself on the back once. I didn't want to do it again. Yeah, but yeah, I know what Skywalker's talking about. In an email, I just said, yeah, we need to create some type of an engagement event with Netflix, and Sky kind of catapulted it and came up with the whole cartoons and serial, and that's how it all started. Yeah, but that's what the Cool Table does. You know, we bounce ideas off each other, and you know, work out the kinks, and you know, and then tell you guys about it. But yeah, Rebel Moon is gonna. I really, to me, and it's not even that far away. Rebel Moon's gonna catapult the whole cell thing to the stratosphere and beyond, right? Because
Oh yeah.
it's
Show
gonna
Snyder's the man.
at Christmas time, everyone's gonna be home, and everyone's gonna be talking about Rebel Moon. It's gonna be great. It's so perfect. I can't wait, dude. It's gonna be exciting.
I can't wait to talk about Rebel Moon in my Christmas setting. I'm gonna have my Santa hat on, all the Christmas lights in the
I can see that,
background,
man.
and I'm talking about Rebel Moon of all movies. That's gonna be so. And I think that's the other big thing.
Yes, sir. The JL Justice League. But yeah, man, it's
That's why I
just
liked it.
we got so much more to be excited about than to be upset about in the end. You know, we got a lot of opportunity and hope on our side. I know the betas come in and say what they say, but they're not creative. They're not creating anything. They're just reacting, trying to stop things because that's all they know how to do. And they know they got nervous when they saw all this stuff going to Netflix from WB already. So that right there, that destroys their whole argument. Like, they'll never put this stuff on Netflix. Well, they're already putting WB products on Netflix. Netflix has already bought DC properties or licensed DC properties, like, you know, was that one Sweet Tooth? A couple other ones I can't think of offhand.
Lucifer.
Yeah. So
That was one they saved, even.
yeah, they started a whole new season of it. So
Yeah.
you can't sit here and tell us, you know, we don't have things to be excited about and things to fight for, you know, and put our positive energy and efforts into.
There's a lot to be excited for. And I think with everything that's going on right now is the perfect time to kick it in gear with the Ayer Cut, with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League on Netflix. Now is the time to kick it in high gear. And I guess, do you have any final thoughts with that?
Yeah, I mean, too, we know a lot of luck came in our way too. With I mean, unfortunately for them, Netflix being hard. I mean, not Netflix. WBD being hard up for money. I mean, that works in our favor. It really does. Yeah, they made some money with Barbie and all that, luckily, but they had some, you know, some bad things before that at theaters. So yeah, I think it helps us that they need to get some cash flow into their company. So licensing these projects and films over to Netflix is one quick way for them to get cash flow. That's just business.
Yeah. Well, Sky, if you're in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Mikey say that on Night Shift that Warner Brothers didn't even make that much money on Barbie because so much of that box office went to Mattel? It was another
Oh,
Joker
damn, I
type
didn't even know that. Jeez.
It was another Joker type of situation. I know Mikey said that, but I think he said that on Night Shift. So
Wow. Well, another one where they, made a bad deal again and tossed out on money that they could add in their pocket. Yeah, he says correct. Wow. So, when will they learn? Oh, well. So, yeah, no, my final thoughts are, keep hashtagging, sell ZSJL Netflix, sell Snyderverse Netflix. Stay positive. Don't let, news and weird articles that come out of nowhere. Zack Snyder wants to see Blue Beetle with his kids. Let him go enjoy the movie with his kids, Like everyone's saying, just don't say you're not seeing it in the name of Zack Snyder. That's just weird. It makes no sense when the man himself is going to go see it. If you don't want to see it, don't see it. If you want to see it, go see it. I really don't care either way. But keep hashtagging is where I care, and follow the rules of engagement, you know?
Yeah, and that's how we're gonna have success. We all got to work together. We got like the actors and writer strike, as we talked about with Stephen Amell. We got to appear as one voice, because that's how we're gonna get success.
Oh, yeah. If you start getting into all the other stuff and the disinformation that comes along with, you know, the opposition and all that, and start believing that or putting their like info in with your hashtags, you're kind of canceling out the whole message. You know, the 2 hashtags are what you need to stick to. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's
Exactly.
working. You know, it is working. And I know I don't have any like insight to this from anybody. I just feel in my gut Netflix got the Justice League animated on there to test the waters of DC characters on their platform.
Oh, 100%. That's using my detective skills that I draw that conclusion.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
and it's pretty logical. It doesn't really have to be like a deep dive, you know. It's pretty logical. That's what they did, and look what they got. It's always trending now.
So we have a lot to be excited for. There's a lot that can happen, and just at the end of the day, keep focused. And there's a lot of great stuff coming up. And I guess for you, Necron, what do you have coming up on your channel or
Well,
other channels?
tomorrow will be the Pandora's Box with Mikey and Retro Nerd Girl at 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll still be continuing our hot actors of the, I like to say of yore, but of like 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. And then we usually have Freezing Cold Takes on Austin's channel that same night later on. And then on, I'm not sure if I'm doing Witching Hour Friday, but we got Cartoons and Cereal again on Sky's channel, or I think on all our channels, but it's always on Sky's channel on Saturday morning. And we've been watching The Batman, the animated series from the 2000s, mid 2000s, I believe, which Sky hadn't seen it, and now he's enjoying it, and I figured he would, because it's a pretty cool little Batman cartoon. It's fun, because we already did
I've
the
seen every
Justice League.
episode.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. And actually, they actually do eventually get into the Justice League, so it doesn't even totally break the whole Justice League cartoon series, because you'll see them later on.
Yeah, and we were talking about fucking Mikey's comments. OnlyFans Pandora's Box.
Oh, right on time, integrity.
Yeah, we were just talking about you in a good way. Yeah, the Batman and like we were talking about on the show, like they do kind of different takes on the villains and all that, but it's done respectfully. It's not like a different take that's disrespectful, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm not against a kind of like a different take on something, as long as it's done respectfully and done cool, you know, and not just like, oh, let's make them act completely different. It needs a complete moron now, like, you know, vigilante and things like that.
Yeah, that was a disaster. And, you know, they did a good job with the Batman. Oh, yeah, see, I'll be honest with you, Josh, that was one issue I had with the Batman series, is knowing that that's the reason why JLU couldn't have Batman villains in the Legion of Doom. That will always
That was
bother me.
explained to me. Like, I'm glad they don't get caught up in dumb things like that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I think we can have all these characters running around and, you know, in different universes, you know, in Elseworlds. And I think, you know, people have caught on to the idea of the multiverse. I don't think it's as big as a deal as it used to be, or they thought it was.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you got the Flash TV series, you got Marvel making the general audience or the multiverse accessible to the general audience.
For sure. It's not going to be like, oh, I thought this guy was Batman. I thought this guy was Batman. We all know what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm excited for all your stuff coming up. I think, I love that how you're doing everything to hype up Cell, and my channel is definitely gonna be doing a lot of stuff too to really hype up the Cell movement, because I think this is the only time I can get excited for DC at this point is Cell. Nothing else DC excites me right now. It's Cell. So
Well, I
most of
mean,
my DC content, Cell.
it's the reality we're in. This is what we got to get excited about. We can't fake it. Zack Snyder and his universe is what gets us excited. From DC, it was great. There's no need or really logical reason to stop it.
Exactly.
It needs a continuation. It needs to carry on. And we need to get that Ayer Cut released on Netflix and finally see it.
Yeah, that, again, with amidst the strike, that can happen now. So that's why now Netflix, Warner Brothers Discovery, work it out, get the Ayer Cuts, and there's a lot to look forward to. On my channel, assuming I can get my computer fixed, I'm going to be getting my Barbenheimer reviews out right now. Both are recorded. Both are
we're waiting
completely
to see this.
Yeah, I just need to figure this out because, well, Zadra was going to help me with my computer yesterday, and I told him, oh, no, we're good. It's working. And I feel like because it's like my computer knew I told him that, it's like, okay, I'm going to stop working for Dan now. Just to...
that personal grudge on your computer. Yeah. It's like, oh, you think you're going to work right now. Is that what you think? No, the computer has other plans.
So if I can get that fixed, because I can't edit without knowing how the music sounds in contrast to the rest of the video, because that's just going to be too hard to edit. So,
oh, for sure.
Hopefully, once I get that figured out, I can get those Barbenheimer reviews up. Right now, my goal is Barbie on Thursday, Oppenheimer on Friday. We'll see, but that's actually why I did this topic this week, because Margot Robbie, Barbie seemed like a perfect time.
Oh yeah, and thanks for having me on. This is a fun conversation. I usually talk like a lot of metal on my channels and stuff and retro stuff, so it was cool to just go have a deep dive on the Cell movement.
Yeah, and that's really one thing I really love about you on YouTube is that, sorry, there's a fly in my way, is that
no worries.
Is that you do all this diverse stuff, is that you're interested in the metal stuff and you're interested in the DC stuff too, is that I really love seeing your diverse interest, and I was really excited to have you on my channel to talk some DC. I had a really good time having you on. And
Yeah,
I hope to bring you on again soon.
I think I destroy my algorithm because it doesn't know where to send my channel to people. But that's really, I don't really care about all that. I just want to do what I enjoy. That's what I'm here for.
Exactly, and I'm sure my channel goes through the same thing as you just said. Is that when I don't talk DC, my channel's like, wait, Bat Dan's thoughts, and he's talking Star Wars and Marvel, and
where do I send this? Yeah. Oh well.
But you just gotta do what we love, and you're gonna both see us doing what we love, not worrying too much about the algorithm. And guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode, so you can get some more unique takes and interesting thoughts.
There you go.
Any final words?
Sells GHL to Netflix, sells Snyderverse to Netflix.
Exactly. Keep on fighting. And on that note, have a bat-tastic day.